Hey guys, it's Ethan from Zimmer Labs, and we're doing a quick video on this MK1 that I tentatively just finished up for Anton, aka Zen, the Zen Master's lightsaber right here. This video is intended to show you guys a few things, but also for Zen to give me some feedback, what he thinks so far, and what, if anything, we want to add to this. But this guy is a Roman Props. This was a machine-finished MK1 hilt that we got and did some work to the finish on. Upgraded this to a chrome zinc knob. I had a chrome clamp, and I polished the stainless steel to match the chrome. The reason being because Zen had wanted an Inception Elite originally, but he wanted a Rudy Pando crystal chamber, which you can't put into an Inception. So I thought this would be the closest compromise. Get a nice Rudy Pando crystal chamber fully loaded in here, while kind of retaining the aesthetic of the Inception Elite, with everything being a really nice polished finish with a lot of shine. This guy does look an awful lot like a fully shined up Inception Elite. Just obviously a little bit of aesthetic details are different, and this guy's a little bigger. But this guy is a full masterpiece build with all the bells and whistles, nothing held back. And the only thing at this point that I'm not positive about is we were discussing some additional LEDs down here and maybe some cutouts in the grenade section. But I want to get his feedback first, so let's run through it. To activate and to do anything with this guy, there's a little round cap, this guy, that you pop off the bottom to access the recharge port. It's a 1.3mm recharge port. SD card, USB for accessing the Proffieboard electronics, and then your main power switch. She's now live. Let's see, the first thing I guess to show you guys is we've got some LEDs inside the clamp section here. Those are, in addition to being decorative, they are running the notifications for the Bluetooth on this lightsaber. So basically whatever the Bluetooth electronics are doing or are notifying you about, it notifies you by the LED's color and what the LED is doing. So right now, blinking green means that the Bluetooth is active but not connected. So it's sending out a searching signal or a general, hey, I'm here, ready to be activated signal. Once you do connect this up to something, the LED will go solid green. And then whatever other notifications the Bluetooth system sends out, whether it's communicating or talking back and forth or whatever, it denotes it by doing certain things with the LEDs. So you get the decorative good looks with the LEDs, and it's also an easy way to see what your Bluetooth system is doing. If you look in there, you guys can also hopefully see some brass mesh detailing that I put in just to add a little extra depth and some layering, just to class it up a tiny bit, because the holes on the Graflex clamp are, they are what they are because that's how a Graflex clamp works. But they certainly aren't by any means related to a lightsaber or good looking, in my opinion. So, I like to dress them up if possible. Up top, this is something worth pointing out. This is the standard blade plug that comes with an MK1. It is a very, very simple stainless steel blade plug that has a concave, or concave, I think the word is, a concave indentation to it. I polished the blade plug up so that the finish would match the rest of the saber, but it looks really, really nice. This is maybe my favorite part of the saber itself. It's just a simple blade plug. Nothing crazy here. Just a section of tube with a concave top, but the overall look of that perfectly machined, perfectly rounded, inverted dome in there, it's just gorgeous. Whoever does the machining on these hilts really did a perfect job on these, and they look fantastic. It's not something that you really often would think about being a big deal on an MK1. It's, you know, it's the last thing really most people would think about, but it's might be my favorite part of the whole thing. So, thought that was worth pointing out. To get that out and to lock in the blade, there is a set screw right here. Little tiny one. Takes this little tiny hex head or Allen wrench. Inside the emitter we've got stock Custom Works onboard Neopixel pogo pin connector, which is perfect for this saber because there's very little room to work with in here. The activation, the buttons are located in the clamp card, auxiliary here and activation here. And if you do these right, they work really well, but it's certainly, to say the least, very tricky to get them to work right and have good action. So you can check them out by sliding the bubble card off and then just loosening the clamp and just kind of carefully popping this section out. And this is the button component. Totally modular. Got two standard tactile buttons, one on either end. So that guy pops in and out really simply just by making sure it's aligned correctly and pushing it back in. And then you just slide the bubble card back over it and lock it back down. Simple as that. Now the next thing I'll show you guys is the crystal chamber. To access that, you again release the clamp and then twist the top section clockwise till you hear it click, and then slide it out and then counterclockwise to lock it back again. And here we have a polished up, heavily customized Rudy Pando crystal chamber. This I polished myself. I did a bunch of modifications to it for stability and structure, but also added a bunch of decorative details. To begin with, some brass fins on the back from a Proffieboard, and Dimitri Stock's crystal chamber chassis section components done in gold, but also two of the original Rudy Pando pieces I kept in there, which I usually take out, but I shined them up and left them in there because I actually thought they looked pretty good in this set. And then some tubing and piping, architectural tubing and piping that I put in using my mill just to give it some more detail, and also some geometric architectural elements on the inside. If you guys can see that, hopefully that shows up. They're on the inner walls of the crystal chamber itself. And it's just a little bit of extra detail. So this is a pretty snazzy setup as it is, but to make it really stand out and make it pop even more, you have to really go the extra mile. The crystal in here is a 1-inch long double pointed quartz point, and Neopixel's illuminating it from both sides. Shines up pretty well. Let's see what else to show you guys. Close that guy back up, lock it up, clamp it down, put the blade in real quick, and well, I think the top became unplugged. So let me show you guys how to fix that real quick. So to take the whole top section off is very simple if you set it up the way I did. You just open up the crystal chamber section, then using a hex key, release this one screw here, not all the way, just enough, and then the whole thing will slide right off. And as I expected, the connection to the blade connector actually was unplugged by mistake, so let's get that guy plugged back in. Being careful to get it connected up in the right orientation so that you don't fry your Neopixels. Last thing you want to do. And you gotta retighten this little guy. You go all the way down and then I back it out quarter turn. Alright. There we go. Now she's working. So let's put the blade in real quick, fire it up. So the opening blade is standard bright blue with a white burst. And a cyan. This is... Actually, the previous one was a deep sky blue, then that was cyan. Purple. Bright green. Jedi Seizure Blade. This is a blue with a little bit of a flicker to it. Bright red. That's a white-yellow audio flicker blade. White with a spark tip blade. Red with a spark tip blade. Actually, that was blood orange, my mistake. It's a blue fire blade. Standard fire blade. My blue Tron blade. This is a modified color cycle blade that is done in a mix of dark orange and blood orange with a really fast cycle. Really love how that looks. Rainbow blade. Electricity blade. Blue electricity blade. POV blade, and battery indicator blade. And back to the beginning. Now all the blades and sound fonts on this guy are all smooth swing. Love the smooth swing effect. It's so realistic. Let me just quickly tighten this blade down so it stops turning off and on us. That just doesn't look good. Notice how really sensitive these electronics are and how perfect it handles the clashes. I'm barely touching that. Absolutely perfect. The other thing I should show you guys is the drag function. You get a good blade for that though. Red looks good for dragging. Watch the tip of the blade as I drag it across the countertop here. That's simulating dragging the lightsaber along the floor, wall, whatever, and it's just the very tip is sparking out. Very cool effect. I think that's probably something too that will mature over the years as an effect, and it will get better and better. But just the fact that it exists and the fact that it even looks as good as it does is pretty damn cool. But I think that's pretty much it for now. Actually, I didn't tell you guys about the inside setup on the chassis. This is one major bit that I am very happy with. So to access the chassis, simply unscrew the bottom section of the hilt, and then you are down in probably the most important part, soundboard and all your ports and battery. And to access this, you simply pop these cover tabs off, and now you have full access to both sides, which is super great, handy, and fantastic. If you're upgrading, repairing, modifying, or whatever, you can get right in here and you can get at any part of the, well, almost any part of the soundboard just by popping these little covers off, and they pop right back on just like that, and they're sturdy, they're not going anywhere. It's really well designed. This guy is built and designed to fit an 18500 battery, which is an 18650 but 2/3 as big. It's a little bit shorter. I actually, for the first time, managed to get an 18650 to fit in this chassis, along with the speaker and the sound card and all the other apparatus that you were supposed to have in here. And it was really a tight fit, but I made it work, and there's just a tiny bit of room to spare, in fact. And that's huge when you're talking about a Neopixel saber. If you're talking about a Luxion saber, it may not really be a big deal to have an 18500 battery, because the in-hilt LEDs don't drain the battery anywhere near as fast as Neopixels do. But Neopixels can really suck a battery down, so if you have a smaller capacity battery like an 18500, it can really rip through it fast. So you want to have at least an 18650. So I was really happy to be able to get to accomplish that and squeeze that in there. I've built 5 or 6 of these in the past, and I've tried on each one to go up on the battery size and never quite had enough room. So this is the first. This is a first. It's the first time I've been able to pull it off, and I'm really glad I did, because I wanted to be able to take that next step with the MK1 builds. I always try to push the envelope a little bit and take a further step every time I do something I've done before to make it just a bit better somehow. So that is a huge upgrade, because that's a 3500 milliamp hour 20 amp battery, which means it'll push the Neopixels, it'll run the blade, it'll do everything it's supposed to do really well, really brightly, and for a full day, give or take, which is hard to do, and it's awesome. If you have a saber like this, you want to enjoy it and not have to charge it every hour. So, alright, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. Zen, let me know what you think and what you want to do, if anything, if you want to add anything or modify anything, and I will finish it up for you, and then I'll get it sent out. Okay, thank you guys.